Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. Well, we are here on a Monday, and we're going to break down the UFC Fight Night between Frankie Edgar and Munhoz. We're going to have Stephane Cappellini join us, and we'll be able to break down. It was a smaller card, only 9 fights on the card. There was some injuries and illness and things like that, so forced a little bit smaller of a card. So we'll have some time to really break it down. So thanks for joining us today, Stephane. How are you?
I'm great on this cloudy Monday, and looking forward to break down the fights with you, Darren.
Great, thanks. Well, I hope the summer hasn't left us. We've had some poor weather the past few days, and hoping that we get a resurgence of the sun and we get a little bit of a late summer. It's getting close to the end of August, and everybody's got to get back at life, but it's always nice if the summer can last a little longer. It's disappointing when we see so much rain and poor weather, but I guess it doesn't make us feel so guilty being inside watching fights. And as I mentioned, it was a smaller card, but turned out great. Amazing fight off the top, and a lot of good fights through the middle. And then obviously our main event, Pedro Munhoz came in as the heavy favorite, ranked number 5 in the Bantamweight division. Frankie Edgar, never having fought at the Bantamweight weight limit, but he came in and just showed why he's a Hall of Famer, why he's one of the best ever, being able to take out a split decision victory. His combination work was just fantastic. Every time Pedro hit him once or twice, Frankie would come back with about 3 or 4 shots. And I think that volume ended up swaying the decision on 2 of the judges' cards and giving the victory to Frankie. Great to see that he's still relevant. He's still up there, still winning, becomes a name now at Bantamweight. How did you think this fight shook out?
Yeah, well, it's Frankie Edgar came in to the UFC in prominence by winning the 155, the lightweight title versus BJ Penn, a guy that BJ Penn, who's fought all the way up to, I believe, 200 pounds, right? I mean, he was way overweight, but he did fight at that weight class. And here, Frankie, wow, it's amazing. He was 20 pounds heavier. And when you're a small guy already, to lose another 20 pounds, that's amazing. And I thought, what's he going to have? What's he going to have? But he lasted the 5 rounds, moving like he always does. And you talked about the combos that he puts together. He's so good at putting those combos together on the fly. He doesn't have to settle down, and then he just moves, and he keeps popping all those combos. And I don't know if you saw the tweet by the middleweight, what's his name, middleweight champ. Did you say more combos than Burger King?
Oh yeah, it was Volkanovski, right?
No, it wasn't. The middleweight champ from New Zealand there. They'll come to me in a second.
You mean, Volkanovski's from New Zealand. You mean Usman or?
No, Usman is the welterweight. It'll come to us.
Okay.
He's the one that's going to fight the big middleweight fight coming up. Both big bangers. Anyway, so that was a tough fight though for Pedro there, and he lost at a unanimous decision. But it's a difficult fight to judge too, because he did pound the legs of Frankie Edgar quite a bit, and that doesn't sometimes get as much scores high on the cards for the judges. And I think he was also a harder hitter. And that I don't think was taken into credit. I thought that Pedro's face was falling apart. I thought in the first or second round, I thought, how is he going to make 5 rounds? But his face held up. Anyway, unanimous decision, but still you could look at the card a different way, and you could go, Pedro hit him maybe harder, really banged up the legs. So tough decision for him. He loses it. But Edgar, yeah, wow, loses 20 pounds. Well, 10 pounds from what he's been fighting the last few years. But still, like you say, older guy, smaller guy, which to transition to a lighter weight can be harder for when they get older. We tend to put on weight when we get older. It's harder to cut the weight, but still, yeah, really relevant. Be interesting how it goes, moves up from here now.
Yeah, well, it will be very interesting. Yeah. Adesanya, you were thinking of
That's right.
Israel
Yeah,
Adesanya, middleweight champ. Yeah. The name escaped me immediately there. Yeah, Frankie, being older, I think a lot of people started writing him off. I think they didn't think that he could make that transition to a different weight class. But he's been able to prove the doubters wrong time after time. There's been so many times when he was the underdog and came in and beat guys that were bigger than him. I think they said that this might have been one of the only fights ever that he actually had a longer reach than his opponent, which was amazing. He's been fighting in the UFC since 2007, former lightweight champion. Nobody in UFC history has had more cage time. He's been in there about 8 hours of cage time altogether. The fourth most significant strikes, fourth most takedowns in UFC history. A Hall of Fame career already. And he said, hey, I'm not willing to just move off into the sunset. I want to keep banging. I want to keep fighting. I think I can move up these ranks and, I can be a champion again. And I wouldn't doubt the guy. There's been many times when the fight's, coming up and make predictions and, I'm like, I don't know. Frankie can, beat this guy. I think this guy's a little too big. Won't be able to, pull it off. And he does time and time again. So, great to see older fighters still relevant. Amazing to, see a guy come in and face a guy that's number 5 ranked. The UFC didn't throw him any kind of lightweight to begin with in his debut at that weight. Pedro Munhoz has been fantastic, really, really great fighter at that weight class. But yeah, Frankie came in, he endured a lot of those calf kicks, and he figured out how to get away from it. And then just, continue that, that pace, that frenetic pace. Mark Henry, his coach, really fantastic striking coach. And yeah, no, it was great to see. I loved it. Really nice to see a guy still be able to have it and go into a new weight class and still get a victory. It was a split decision. One of the judges had it Munhoz's way, but it ended up, going Frankie's way onto the other judge's card. So, anything more you want to add into this fight? It was a really great main event.
Yeah, you're right. It was a split decision. I'm corrected. I stand corrected. On what you were saying about Frankie is I think he's really accustomed now to being the underdog, and you never know. The guy's got such a heart. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's what's the saying? It's the size of the fight in the dog, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's not the hardest puncher. He's not the biggest puncher, but he's tons of volume, and you just can't count the guy out. In that weight class, we know we got some really heavy-handed guys. So we'll see how he does with those guys. We've seen him. Looks like he's going to get knocked out, and he comes back to win the fight, or even knock the guy out. So he's got a ton of heart, and he just keeps coming back.
Yeah. No. If the viewers and listeners haven't seen some of the older Frankie Edgar's fights, find them online and watch them. He went in against Gray Maynard, a very, very heavy underdog, beat the bully and beat him after taking a huge beating early on in the fight, coming back and just being able to have one of the greatest comeback victories ever. Some of the wars that he's been in and some of the great fights. I definitely know that he's going to be getting into the Hall of Fame when he's all said and done. But at 38. He's not ready to hang him up yet, and it'll be nice to see who they match him up. The bantamweight rankings are pretty phenomenal. We obviously got Petr Yan as the champ. Marlon Moraes is number 1 ranked, and then Aljamain Sterling is number 2 ranked, and he's got the fight against Petr Yan coming up. So that'll be great to see if Aljamain, who's on a meteoric rise, can knock off the champion. Then we've got Cody Garbrandt. He's 3rd ranked, and he's got actually a fight against Davison Figueiredo in the other weight division, and they've got a championship fight coming up. Then we go down Corey Sandhagen, number 4. Munhoz is 5, so I'm not sure where they're going to fit Edgar in, but Munhoz will move down probably. Jose Aldo at 6, Jimmy Rivera 7, Rafael Assunção 8, and down the ranks. But the bantamweight division has been something that we've been talking about quite a bit ever since this restart. A lot of really talented fighters at the top of this division. And yeah, it's nice to see Frankie start slotting in there. I hope they give him a higher ranking after beating the number 5 guy. And yeah, I can't wait for Aljamain Sterling, Petr Yan. Aljamain, you know, I don't know if anybody can beat this guy. He's you know, just been phenomenal lately, but so is Petr Yan. So I'm glad that they scheduled that fight. And yeah, I was surprised that Cody Garbrandt was going to move weight classes and fight Davison Figueiredo, but that'll be exciting too. So we've got 2 title fights to look forward to, and guys in that division coming up. So this was a neat card. They actually had the biggest upset in UFC history, according to the odds makers. The female fight was pretty incredible. There was the girl Mariya Agipova was a massive favorite. Just really had a phenomenal debut coming in about a month and a half ago. She came in, and Shana Dobson just came in with a losing record. She was only 3-4 coming in, and they just thought, oh, this is Agipova's walkover. She'll be able to just keep on her rise. And Agipova came in, really threw a lot at Dobson right off the bat, but she weathered the storm, and she ended up taking her out. It was you know, pretty cool that it was the biggest upset in UFC history according to odds makers. What did you think of the fight?
Yeah, it's interesting how the fight, I mean, Dobson was trying to stick in there, trying to swing, throwing some straight punches and connecting. And I was surprised that she, from watching her, I was surprised that she actually had a losing record. She didn't look like somebody that had a losing record. She looked like I thought, wow, this is one tough opponent. And then you got Agipova, who was mounted on Dobson, and Dobson swept her, and that's where it all started to change. She swept her, and she hit Agipova with a couple hammer fists and a couple strikes, and Agipova just turtled up, and it just seemed she was done. She was done, and I wonder. It looked like it was a combination of getting hit hard and getting hit hard when you're already tired. And I kind of thought that maybe Agipova just burned herself out, not only in the fight, but in her introduction. She was so hyped up and dancing around, coming into the cage that way. I mean, who knows what happened? Maybe she underestimated Dobson, or I don't want to take credit away from Dobson either, you know, but Agipova maybe just got surprised, maybe burnt herself out, maybe didn't take this seriously enough. But then again, you know, maybe she was really confident and she did everything right. She just got beat that night by what we thought was a lesser fighter, and turned out to be, at this moment in time, or at least on Saturday night, the better man or the better woman. And just like you said, Dobson weathered the storm, and after that, she cracked Agipova off with some hard hammer fists and hard punches, some ground and pound, and it was over. She just couldn't come back from that.
No, you're right. Yeah. I think She definitely came in, super hyped. I think she had that adrenaline dump that some fighters face.
Yeah.
I think she just, started believing the hype that she was the next big thing, and yeah, she came out with, with a flurry, everything. But once you're right, once Dobson did that sweep and got on top of her, yeah, I think she was gassed, and she was starting to take too much abuse. Finally, in the second round at 138, the referee stopped the fight, and Dobson ended up winning 50K for that as one of the performance bonuses. Yeah, so she's definitely turned her career around. If she was 3-5, I think possibly the UFC might say, let's maybe release her and let her go to the regional circuits and get some more fights so she can come back with a winning record. The lot's on the line, and you mentioned it earlier, the fighting the dog. She brought out that dog and just wouldn't quit, and changed her future. She had the possibility of not being in the UFC roster anymore to now she's going to get some great opponents and opportunity to make some really good money. 50K bonus for her. Yeah, congratulations. But yeah, to be the biggest upset in history, it made me think of some of the big upsets. Holly Holm over Ronda Rousey was considered one of the best of all time, as well as Matt Serra beating George St. Pierre back in the day when Matt Serra took George St. Pierre's belt. And George St. Pierre did eventually avenge that defeat and get the belt back. But yeah, those are the two fights that come to mind when they talk about the biggest upsets in history. You remember those two fights, obviously. Any others come to mind on the biggest upsets?
Trying to think here. Trying to think. I'm, I'm thinking Mike Tyson, but that wasn't UFC.
Right.
With Buster Douglas.
Yeah, that was just absolutely massive combat sport.
Yeah, that'd be the biggest, but in perhaps fight combat sports. But
yeah, you should. Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen the Matt Serra George St. Pierre fight from years ago, the first fight they had, watch that. Even when they put the belt around Matt Serra, he looks at the camera and points at his belt and goes, "Me? I actually won this thing? Wow!" He was actually even stunned and shocked, and that's not usually the case. Usually these fighters have confidence that they can do anything, but I think the whole entire world was stunned and shocked that he won it, and he's been able to have a fantastic career after that. He's one of the best coaches in the world, and coaches some really top top people, belt holders, and he's become really good friends with Dana White. They had their own show together, and yeah, Matt Serra is a huge contributor to the UFC, and it's quite the character. But yeah, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, upset in UFC history, that one. So yeah, it was kind of cool that happened. Yeah, I don't think they gave Dobson much of an opportunity, much of a chance, but she sees that, and yeah, like I said, changed her career. It was great to see that 50K handed out to her.
Yeah, well, like you say, maybe Agipova just she believed the hype and the aforementioned two fights. So you're looking at Ronda Rousey. You're talking about Ronda Rousey and George St. Pierre, and them being upset. Well, what happened with them? They were mega stars, absolute mega stars in the UFC. Ronda Rousey doing commercials and St. Pierre. I can't remember if he was doing any of those, but I mean, just both some of the biggest stars that the UFC has ever had. And you know what? This is a tough sport. You got to be in the gym all the time. And over time, you can look even in the history of, boxing way back in the 20s and stuff, when these heavyweight champs, I think it was it Gene Tunney or one of them becoming a bit of a movie star. It just doesn't mix. You just gotta, for one thing, you've got to be in the gym, and you've got to be hungry, and you got to be focused. And so those two upsets with Ronda Rousey and George St. Pierre, I think both of them just got too famous for their own good and underestimated. Ronda Rousey never bounced back. And we see that often in the UFC where a champion, we think they're going to reign for a long time. They lose their title and they don't come back. But George St. Pierre did come back. He came back quite spectacularly and even moved up a weight class and won that title. But yeah, for Shana Dobson, great fight, stuck in there, and then broke her down, Agapogov. And yeah, we had some other really exciting fights that I thought were going to be ended sooner on Saturday night, and they didn't.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, there was a lot of great fights that turned out to be. The co-main event, was kind of a surprise to me. I didn't think Mike Rogriguez, Marcin Prachnio deserved a co-main event fight, but it turned out pretty good. Mike Rogriguez taking the KO victory halfway through the first round. Tell me about what you thought about this fight. I definitely didn't think it deserved co-main event capability. They just didn't seem to be the stars that you would normally see at that level, but it ended up being a pretty spectacular finish and quite a great fight.
Yeah, no, I agree. Certainly not the big names that you would think would have earned that right yet. But Mike Rogriguez, he stepped up. He stepped up, and those elbows were the difference and devastating. And he got Marcin with that. I believe it was the left elbow in the temple, and then as they say, Marcin was just dancing from there. I think he was completely on dizzy street there, and Mike Rogriguez finished that off. But yeah, a big guy, a tall guy, and strong guy, great with the elbows, and absolutely dominated, especially with his elbows.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that short elbow that ended up taking him down was just spectacular, and just he just was relentless once he got him down. His nickname is Slow, and so I thought, it's not the greatest nickname for a UFC kind of guy. You want a guy to be slow, but I think it was Dominic Cruz that said, why don't we change that name to Methodical? And I think that's how he kind of approached this fight. He waited until he got his opportunities. Once he hit him with that short left elbow, like you say, hit him high on the side of the head, knocked him down, and then just a relentless ground and pound till the referee had to step in and finish it off. And I was impressed by him. Not impressed by his nickname. I hope they change it because Slow doesn't make you excited about a UFC fighter. There's a lot better nicknames out there.
Yeah, we might have to do a show about the worst nicknames out there for fighters. Slow. That is I understand it could have a different connotation, but not the greatest. Anyway, interesting to see where that sets up. Do you know what he's ranked now?
No, I don't think he's ranked at all. No, I don't think he's in the top 15 yet. No, but
make things interesting. Then Anthony Smith having a fight coming up next week. We'll see how this all plays out with John Jones possibly moving up to the heavyweight division.
Yeah, well, I think John Jones did say he's vacated his belt. So they've got Dominic Reyes is going to fight for the belt coming up, and that makes the light heavyweight division that they fight in all the more interesting, and we'll finally have a new champion after quite a while. So
right.
Well, why don't we turn to the other fight, the lightweight fight, Austin Hubbard, Joe Solecki. Joe Solecki ended up basically making Austin Hubbard wear him as a backpack, and jumped up on his back, put him in a body triangle, and just worked his way until he could get a choke sunk in. And it was a really good effort on Solecki's part. Once he clinched him, he was able to just work his way onto that back and work out until he tapped. Pretty impressive submission win by Solecki.
Yeah. I guess Austin's not the he's I actually I worked his corner there as a room supervisor when he was here up for the USC. He's a really good fighter. He's not the quickest, strongest guy out there. And Joe just started quick and took it to him, and like I said, took his back and controlled it with the body triangle, which is sucks the air out of you. It's difficult. It's painful, and you got a guy on your back. And well, he just Austin didn't fight those hands soon enough. He just should have fought those hands a little sooner, and he didn't. And Joe took advantage of that and sunk in that choke.
Tell me how that fight went here in Vancouver with Hubbard, and yeah, how was it in the locker room with him and in the cage, all that? How did it end up working out for you?
He's just a calm, quiet guy, and he carries himself that way into the cage, and that's kind of how he fights. And again, his nickname shouldn't be slow, but it should be methodical. He's a bit takes his time, and he took too much time on this fight. He's got to be, like I say, he's got to be quicker in his defense there and fighting those hands. And he was there he's got the same coach as the heavyweight guy, and he was in the corner. He was in his corner there as well. It'll come to me in just a little bit. Not Corey Anderson. No, he's light heavyweight.
He fights out of the Elevation Fight team in Colorado. So yeah, you know those guys. Yeah, they were. I mean, they're highly renowned, and yeah, they had another couple fighters on this card. Yeah,
right. So yeah, just kind of a quieter kind of guy, and I'm sure he's extremely upset when you get caught in something like that. But jiu-jitsu, just like getting tagged with a punch, it can be over really, really quickly. It just happens.
Yeah. Yeah, Hubbard won that fight here in Vancouver. It was a unanimous decision over Kyle Prepelec. And that's September 14th, 2019. It's going back. I can't believe how much time flies. Yeah, it seems like that was not that long ago. But
Curtis Blades.
Okay. Same fight team. Yeah, Blades was actually in Vancouver. I had an opportunity to talk with him while he was here, and yeah, he's had a really great resurgence of his career lately, and looking like he might get a title shot in the next little while after they sort of sorted out at the top there. We'll figure out when he gets a chance, but Blades must be great for guys like that to fight top tier talent. And that Elevation Fight team, it's very smart. You're going into Colorado, which is Mile High City, Denver, Colorado, being able to get that gas tank, you're able to get conditioned to the altitude, and a lot of them are very smart. They never gas out when they get to normal altitude, and they go into places like Vegas, and they can usually outlast a lot of the fighters. So
and it looked like Austin was trying to fight that way. That's the way he fights, like for a longer fight. But sometimes you just got to. I remember going to one club where we trained, and it was the coach really wanted you to when we're rolling on the mats, just push really hard. He's saying most fights end within 30 seconds, and it's certainly a different way of. A different mentality and a way of fighting. And talking about elevation training, the biggest case I can remember is when Cain Velasquez fought Fabricio Verdum in Mexico City, and Verdum was there, and Verdum speaks Spanish quite well actually, and he works for the UFC in Mexico there, and he was there in Mexico City, which is high elevation. And I actually lived just outside of there for a little bit over a year. I remember the first time going for a jog, and I was just in a city called Puebla, an hour and a half outside of Mexico City, and I was winded, and I was in good shape. After a couple minutes, like holy smokes, this is difficult to breathe. Well, Fabricio Verdum, he went and trained there at Mexico City. The fight was in Mexico City, and we saw the result of that. Kane lost his title, and actually never, again, another case where a champion never regained that their title again after that. But Kane didn't. He showed up like a few days, I believe, before the fight, and after a few rounds, he was gassed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, just it's a really great example of that. Velasquez, for some reason, made a big mistake and didn't go to Mexico and acclimatize himself to the altitude. Verdum did, and you could really tell as the fight wore on. Velasquez, who we had never seen gas out like that. He was always a bit of a lighter heavyweight. And he just didn't have it. Verdum took advantage of that and snatched the title. And we haven't seen Kane be able to ever regain that. That was a massive example of it. And it's a real thing. A lot of people, are skeptics about that, but no, it's a real thing. That elevation is tough. And if your body's not used to it, you're not able to have that same cardio level. So
yeah, and it can't be mimicked. In fact, I have the Bossarootin thing you stick in your mouth while you train, and that does not mimic elevation. What it does do, it does strengthen your lungs a little bit more, but that's about it. It doesn't mimic the actually really training at elevation. And I remember a few years ago, I don't know if you remember this, that Dana White was actually getting upset at AKA, that camp, that gym, because of constant injuries. So you had Kane constantly needing to pull out, and I think even DC was pulling out a fair bit as well because of injuries. He was saying, why are these guys training from AKA keep getting injured? But again, and it's a spectacular gym, great gym. Maybe they've injuries. There could be something systematically that a gym is doing wrong, perhaps. But injuries happen. It's a really rough sport. You got to train really hard. Injuries happen. So maybe it was just a fluke. But I remember Dana White was upset. He commented about AKA, but they did make a mistake on that one with Cain Velasquez. They should have had him either in Mexico City or in Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they made a big mistake, and AKA has ended up becoming one of the greatest fight camps in the history of UFC and mixed martial arts. But I think they did overtrain sometimes. They pushed each other too close to the fight dates, and there was a lot of serious injuries. And I've heard about a ton of guys that were considered killers going in there and getting hurt too. So I'm glad they sorted it out. Obviously they've had a lot of come out of that camp and that gym. And it's great to see. It's great to reminisce about some of those guys too. Let's turn to the the welterweight fight on the card. Also on the main card, Daniel Rogriguez and Dwight Grant. Grant, the body snatcher. He's been really spectacular since this restart. Had a really fantastic win, and he came out and really took it to Rogriguez and almost had the referee stopping this fight. But one of the greatest comebacks in history in a one-round fight. And Rogriguez ended up getting the victory. What a fun round. That's got to be round of the year, in my opinion. And considered, only being one round, but what a comeback. Holy cow.
Well, and even I think it was it might have been Dominic Cruz, one of the commenting like, "Oh, it's over," and because you saw the ref coming in, and I couldn't hear it there. I don't know if you were able to hear it. I was thinking like, what happens sometimes is a ref is about to jump in, or you'll yell to the fighter, "Are you okay? Show me something," and they want to see something, even as they're covering up, a thumbs up or that they're saying, did you hear Rogriguez saying, I'm okay, I'm okay?
No,
He was
I didn't
covering
hear
up.
it. No,
Yes.
I definitely didn't hear it. And you do hear a lot now with the no fans in the stands, but no, I didn't hear it. Somehow, it just seemed like right at that moment, just as he was about to come in, he
Yeah.
moved and seemed to just not eat as many shots. And I'm really glad the referee let it go on, because he definitely could have stepped in many times, because Grant was just all over him. But he weathered the storm. Grant got tired. We've been talking about gassing out for the last few fights here. I think he did gas out a little bit, but Rogriguez, finally got his opportunity and got the knockout at 224 of the first round. Such a fun fight, though. Holy cow. I love that. It doesn't happen that often where a guy gets in that much trouble and the referee allows it to continue, and then he comes back and wins right away. It was pretty cool.
I actually rewatched that fight this morning already, and I was like, wow. I was, even though I knew the outcome, I'm thinking the ref is jumping in, he's going to stop it. My mind is playing tricks on me, thinking I'm so used to seeing these fights ended. However, to the credit of the referee, he saw, and to the credit of Rogriguez was covering up. He was taking a lot of shots, but he was also taking a lot of shots to the glove, to the wrist, and he continued to cover up. There was a point in time, though, however, that he did stop for a moment. He did seem to freeze up for a moment. He was still covering up, but he wasn't moving. I think the ref was just about to step in there when Rogriguez actually rolled a bit and tried to move, but he was in such a bad position. Like he was, the hip control from Grant was great, and he was really controlling the hips, well controlled, sliding in the one hook. And I thought, wow, Rogriguez is in trouble here, but he was able to stand up, and he looked actually a little bit even angry at that point. And it's interesting. It was a great fight because both of them were suited really nicely for each other, but suited that one was going to get knocked out, because both of them, they're not the slickest guys, but they throw big haymakers. They're not the tightest guys with their coming in with combinations. Not like Frankie Edgar, like he's nice and tight. He's moving always, and he's throwing nice slick combinations. These guys throw big overhand punches, and Grant nailed Rogriguez with one nice one, dropped him, then was all over him for the next like maybe 90 seconds, and then Rogriguez got up and said, okay, my turn now. And you could just see somebody was going to get knocked out here. And Rogriguez is heavy-handed and a southpaw. And he nailed him with that left cross to start the beginning of the end there.
That was incredible. Yeah, it was fun to watch. I can't believe how often it looked like the referee was going to stop it, but just seemed like, no, okay, I'll give him another second, give him a little more chance. And then it looked like finally Grant just tired out, because he was just throwing everything he possibly could to finish it off. But you're right. Good cover-ups. Rogriguez is 13-1 now. That's a 9-fight win streak. So and the UFC loves when guys trade like that and throw haymakers and try to knock guys out. Rogriguez, is a fun guy. Eddie Bravo is one of his coaches, and Eddie Bravo is definitely a UFC favorite guy. They definitely take his word, and he's 3-0 in the UFC in 2020. I think that's only the second guy that can say that. So, with that hiatus, not a lot of fighters have had that opportunity, but he ended up dropping Grant 3 times and getting the victory. D-Rod is looking great. Finished 11 of his 13 wins, and should have a really good opponent coming up. They both had different opponents coming into this fight, and they both lost those opponents, so they just matched them up, and it ended up being one of those fantastic ones. The other one that I remember being one of the most incredible comebacks in a first round was Pat Barry and Cheick Kongo. Do you remember how crazy that one was?
I was totally gonna say that one. Exactly. That one was just insane. Cheick Kongo actually went down, flipped back with his legs buckled underneath him, and just such a crazy fight. Was it an uppercut? I think it was a right uppercut that he came back with, and I think the ref was trying to jump in and stop it, but Cheick Kongo was flipping around, and I think he actually accidentally maybe even pushed the ref out of the way. The ref couldn't get in there to stop the fight, which continued the fight. And then Pat Barry just ate, I think, a massive uppercut, I believe it was, from Cheick Kongo, and he was out cold in his sleep. And he even laughed about that one. And so here's the thing too, when you look at a fight like Rogriguez versus Grant, you're right, he burned himself out. You know, it was also, there was Brock Lesnar came back after, what's that big farm boy guy, you know, it'll come to me, I had him before. And he choked him out with the Brock Lesnar, big hitter. He'll come to me.
Oh, Shane Carwin?
Shane Carwin, burned himself out too. So that's the thing, you take chances there in the octagon. And Grant was trying to finish him. Grant was trying to finish him. And what do you do? Do you take your time? Or you try to finish the guy? Right. And obviously we could say with 20/20 vision, take your time in this case. Yeah. But often we see fights, it's like, you go, why did he not finish him there? You know, why he didn't finish him there. He didn't give it all. And you can even see in Daniel Cormier versus Stipe in fight 2 in the first round, he had Stipe hurt and he couldn't finish him off. Maybe he should have gone for the gusto, and then he got stopped in the 4th round. But yeah, that's a decision you got to make. Do you go for it, or do you pace yourself a little bit? And you got to make the wrong decision, and that's what Grant did. He perhaps made the wrong decision, but and he let Rogriguez get back up. He had great control. Maybe he should have took his back and sunk in 2 hooks, and maybe it would have been over. But anyway, those fights are great. I can't wait to see Rogriguez, especially. I want to see Grant back up there. He deserves another fight as well, because he's fun to watch. Both guys are really fun, but I'm especially excited to see Rogriguez fight again. You want to see that kind of like no disregard for safety in a way.
Yeah.
Just have these
no,
guys.
I love that too. Yeah, just just throw as many punches as you possibly can and hope the guy goes out. And if he doesn't, I guess I'm going out too. Yeah, I mean, I love those kind of fighters, and the UFC loves those kind of fighters. I don't think either guy will look bad in the UFC's eyes. They'll both get some really good opportunities to fight very soon, I'm sure, as long as there's no injuries. And that was one of the most fun first rounds I've ever seen. So really great. Why don't we're going to just talk about a couple more fights. I just have to talk about some of our partners, though. We have some partners with Complete Sports Media Team, and I'd like to talk about Anchor. Anchor's been a really great partner for us. They've been really great at posting on multiple podcast platforms. Anchor is one of the easiest podcast platforms to create your podcast and have them promote it and support you. So go to anchorfm.com. Really, really great partner with Complete Sports Media. I also like to talk about Forever Living. This is the aloe vera company. They grow and manufacture aloe vera, and they're all base products for health and beauty. Tried a lot of the products, really love that product line, and I recommend you going to our website, completesportsmedia.com. You'll be able to take a look at the products and purchase whatever ones you like. And also our other partner is Verbero. Verbero is a hockey equipment and apparel company, industry leader in technology, performance, and value. And they have the featured Mercury V350, the lightest, most balanced hockey stick on the market. It's very explosive and durable, and at only 350 grams. So many hockey players are just loving the ability to have such a light stick that is so powerful, flexible, durable, everything that hockey players are looking for these days. So go to verbero.com and purchase sticks, skates, all your hockey equipment. Very amazing partner of Complete Sports Media. Okay, so back to the card. Let's talk about the light heavyweight fight between Ike Villanueva and Jordan Wright. And the Beverly Hills Ninja Jordan Wright had this amazing spinning kick that put Ike Villanueva on skates, and eventually Jordan Wright was able to get the win, TKO in the first round, minute and a half in. Pretty impressive performance by Jordan Wright. What do you think?
Yeah, really aggressive with a spectacular, flashy kick, and then those knees. What knees? Just the control and Villanueva. Sorry, he's upset with the stoppage. It was a nasty cut. He wanted to keep going, and that's what we want to see too. But it was a good stoppage. He was getting hurt by those knees. I mean, aside from that cut being a very dangerous area, he was eating a lot of knees. Jordan was all over with him, and he was trying to fight off. Isaac was trying to fight off that Muay Thai clinch and just wasn't able to. He was eating so many knees. At one point, I could see he got hurt pretty badly with that as well. But it's great to see this. Typically we're used to seeing fighters come from poor areas. A lot of Brazilian guys are coming from really rough neighborhoods and stuff. But in the UFC, you certainly get a lot of that, but you get a mix of that. And this guy Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja. I like that nickname. That's a good one. And he looks like he comes from an Ivy League school kind of thing. So and you think this is not certainly not the typical kind of guy that wants to fight, but some guys just have that in them. And again, he looks like he needs a little bit more experience and stuff, but just another guy thrown into the mix of the light heavyweights. Awesome. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, no, very awesome. Really cool performance. I really like his head coach, Anthony Hardonk. Very, very, very talented guy, and been able to coach a lot of top guys in the UFC. Jordan Wright was actually fighting above his weight class. He usually fights at 185, so he only got I think he said 6 days notice. And they asked him to come in and step in at late notice and replace an injured fighter. So he came in, still undefeated, still a little raw for sure. Definitely, needs a little more schooling, a little more camps, and get back to his own weight class. But he ended up taking the Hurricane out. Jason Herzog, notice that cut. Once Jordan got the tie clinch on and he started feeding him the knees. It was definitely, sign of things to come. And I don't think the fight would have lasted longer, even, though they did stop it because of the cut. But, I think Villanueva just, wasn't able to get any answers to trying to get out of that tie clinch. And those knees were really nasty. Jordan Wright's, looking really good. Great that he could come in and help the UFC out. And I think that'll bode well for him getting some fights at his weight class at 185. So we'll see what happens going forward. I love the nickname too. Like you say, that's one of the best nicknames I've seen in a little while. I really want to touch. We're running out of time. Matthew Semmelsberger, the what's his name? The Jedi semi. He was great. Really talented fighter. This was a really amazing banging fight. 4-fight win streak for him. Unanimous decision. He was the underdog going in, but man, he has some very powerful strikes and really accurate puncher. I don't want to talk too much about this fight, but do you want to just touch base on it real quick?
Yeah, some really nice striking, ex-college football player, and he showed his athleticism because, yeah, he was dominating up on the ground. He did take a few punches. Minus was getting his punches in too, and but Matthew there actually took him down, got some hooks in and stuff, which surprised me a little bit because that's where you think Carlton would have wanted to be. Of course, on top of Semmelberger. That's going to be a tough name for announcer, but he was in top position. You'd think that's where Carlton would want to be, take it to the ground, but Matthew saw the opportunity. Good fight, yeah. I'd like to see what he does from here. Tall guy for that division, really big tall guy, and athletic. So yeah, it's going to be nice to see him. And mine is he stuck in there. He stuck in there. It just wasn't his night. So definitely, hopefully, see him come back as well. But looking forward to Semmelberger.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, definitely. But I do want to talk about the fight of the night. In my opinion, the 50K was given to Munhoz and Edgar, but I think they should have given that to the Timur Valiev against Trevin Jones. Valiev had a spectacular first round. Really, looked like he was the superior fighter, but Trevin Jones ended up coming back and having a massive comeback. Ended up getting a 50K bonus, and he was. It was his UFC debut. 3 days notice, and he said the weight cut was really tough, but he just ended up giving him a huge check hook, knocked him down, and then just grounded and pounded him to a stoppage. Pretty impressive first fight of the night.
Yeah, well, sometimes when these guys are coming in and they've got lots of time to prepare, and like we were talking about with Agipova, maybe she just psyched herself out in a way. Jones had nothing to lose. He probably just came in calm and said, you know what, I'm doing the UFC a favor. They're going to give me another chance if this doesn't go well. Maybe that's what he said. Who knows? Or perhaps he's just an extremely confident guy and he weathered the storm and then went to work from there. But sometimes that we defeat ourselves. Maybe he simply just said, I got nothing to lose. I came in with really short notice. I'm not expected to win. I'm just going to do my best there. And he comes up with a huge upset and a big win.
Yeah, that was a really big win. I don't think many people were giving him a chance. That 3 days notice. I don't think many people even knew who he was. So, the Dagestani fighter was heavy favorite, and looked really great in that first round. But something just changed in that second round. Massive knockout win by Trevin Jones, and a great way to start the card. And as I said, it was a short card, UFC Vegas 7, only 9 fights on the card, but a lot of really great fights to watch and break down with you, Stephane. It was fun as usual. I'm always glad when you can join me, and that was fun for me. I'm glad that you had an opportunity to watch it on Saturday night, and we could meet on Monday like this and break it down. Thanks for joining me.
Okay, thanks, Darren. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We will we'll keep in close contact, and I'm sure we'll have some great cards to break down very soon. So enjoy your week ahead, and we will talk soon.
Sounds good.
Okay, cheers.
Okay,
Bye for now.
bye.
Great. Well, that was fun, man. I can't believe how fast an hour can fly by sometimes. It just shocks me when I look at the clock and think. It really stuns me when all of a sudden, boom, there's an hour gone by, and we just we got to wrap it up. I've got the things to start taking care of today. More podcasts for you, your my valuable listeners and viewers. Thanks so much for joining me and Stephane today. It was a fun breakdown. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And thanks again to our partners and sponsors. Yeah, support them. Go on to CompleteSportsMedia.com and get some information about our partners and sponsors. And yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to send it in to us. So take care of yourself. Have a really great week ahead, and enjoy the fights. Yeah, look up some of those fights that we mentioned. You won't be disappointed. A lot of fun to taking a look at some of the old fights that we mentioned on here. So take care of yourself. Love you lots. Bye for now.